Hey everybody, welcome back to another video, and today's topic is going to be, if you cannot guess by my t-shirt, Star Wars. So I am going to talk about 40 years of one of my favorite science fiction franchises. Been a fan since I was a little kid. Had a couple of years in the middle where I wasn't so much into it, but now I've kind of gotten back into it. Also of note, I kind of played with the volume settings, so you might finally be able to hear me without cranking up your TV or video or phone all the way. Something that was pointed out to me that I kind of had to play around with here. Again, I'm new to this whole video thing, and I'm not any professional. I'm just kind of doing it sitting in my man cave here. So if you guys are enjoying my videos, please subscribe to my channel, hit the little notification bell so you will know whenever I post a new video. If you enjoy this video, hit a like button. Leave a comment down below. Tell me something you like about it, something you don't like about it, something you love about Star Wars, something you hate about Star Wars. So let's get right into it. When I was about a year old, a little bit more than a year old, Star Wars came out, and I remember my mom took me to see it at the theater. I was really young, obviously, so it's like I don't really have so many memories of it. I just kind of remember vividly the Death Star trench run at the end of the movie when Luke is, flying the little X-wing and fires the shot that destroys the Death Star. That I kind of remember that, and the noise and just the lights and being in awe. Again, I was, a little over a year old. But I loved it. As I got a little bit older, watched The Empire Strikes Back, watched Return of the Jedi, and then, after that, Star Wars still stuck around for a long time. I had all the toys when I was a kid, not all of them, but like I collected that more than anything. I also had G.I. Joe and Transformers and all this other stuff, but Star Wars was probably one of my favorite things. I loved it as a kid. And then for many years, you kind of went dry where there were no more movies. We had like the Ewok movies that came out after the Return of the Jedi, which admittedly I like them. They're not the greatest things in the world, but when you can get Wilford Brimley into a sci-fi movie, that's a pretty cool thing. So for many years, Star Wars was kind of kept alive by the books and what they called the extended universe. Now they're kind of called legends, I think is what Disney refers to that era as. Like, it's not, official canon for the overall Star Wars story, but there were some really great stories at that time, and it kind of filled in, the fandom's curiosity for more. Now, there was a really good trilogy written by a guy named Timothy Zahn. It was called the Thrawn trilogy, and it was kind of set after Return of the Jedi, like a couple of years, like, the crumbling Empire, the rebels kind of freed the galaxy from them, but this one admiral kind of tries to reassemble everything, and it's like he is part of the Empire, but he's not so much a bad guy. He's kind of like an anti-hero. Those were really good. I had kind of hoped they might go with that, for the movies, but they didn't. I think he's been in some of the animated series, but I've never really watched the animated series, Anyway, Star Wars, when I was a kid, was just like a phenomenon. It was like there was disco, Star Wars music, there was just cosplay in its early stages. Star Wars was huge back in that day, from the 70s and 80s. It was all about Star Wars, and then for many years, like I said, when you had the books, it kind of died down. And then, in the late 90s, they brought back the original trilogy to the theaters. And I remember going with my friends, and we were all excited because, we hadn't really seen it since we were little kids. Not on the big screen, let's say. Obviously we had VHS tapes. That was like, when my mom got me my first VCR as a kid, I remember she got me 3 movies. She got me the original Star Wars trilogy, Batman, and RoboCop, and I played them to death. They were I watched them so often, the little lines were through them. You could tell that I had, seen these movies a million times, but to see them again on the big screen was really cool, And then shortly after that, we had the prequel trilogy when Lucas was still in charge. Not a really big fan of them. The first one really wasn't that good. They got better as they went along. The second one was okay. The third one was pretty good. Overall, it kind of filled in the blanks to what led up to the original Star Wars. It's still set, 20 years before the original trilogy, but it was kind of cool to have, the information filled back in there. And then there was another big Star Wars boom. The toys were back out, and Lucas, look, he created it, and I give him credit, but he really milked it to death and beyond. Like, he did it so much that I got out of Star Wars. I just couldn't stand it anymore. Something I loved dearly as a child, but it was just so much in your face everywhere and anywhere that I tuned it out. I was like, I can't take it anymore. So I kind of lost interest in the series. there were the animated movies and the video games and things like that. I mean, I played some of the games along the way, back in the day on the old PlayStation and stuff, but it was just too much. Star Wars overkill. So again, many years I was kind of out of the Star Wars loop. Well, then Disney bought them, and I was like, okay, this has got potential. Let's see what they do with it. And they come out with The Force Awakens, which I absolutely loved. The Force Awakens. Yes, if you kind of look at it not from a fanboy vantage point, you realize more or less it's like a remake of the original Star Wars. But you get these new characters, and you get the returns of some of the famous, well-known characters: Chewbacca, Han Solo, C-3PO, R2D2, Luke Skywalker, Leia. I mean, all these iconic characters from the 80s, from my childhood. So it was kind of cool to see them all in there. The first time I saw the second one, The Last Jedi, the very first time I saw it, I didn't like it. I was supremely disappointed with it. But I've gone back and watched it a few times, and it's like the more I watched it, the more I kind of softened on it. Still not great, but I've kind of turned my opinion from really negative to like, okay, it's not bad. I really liked the last one that wrapped up the new trilogy. I thought that was really well done. I think they crossed off most of the T's, dotted the I's as best they could, and filled in, all the backstory and whatnot. I don't know where they're going with it. It seems like they kind of died down a little bit with the movies because there was some negative reception in there. There was also Rogue One, which I thought was great. That kind of set the tale leading up to the events of the first, the original Star Wars movie, which of course in the timeline is not the first movie, but I thought Rogue One was really good. Didn't really have the best reviews. A lot of people didn't like it, because it was different. But I really enjoyed it. Then they had the Han Solo origin movie, another one that people seem to hate, but I actually kind of liked it. I thought it was pretty good. I thought the actor playing him was good. The guy, Donald Glover, I think is his name, that played young Lando Calrissian, he was pretty good in it. So I've enjoyed the Disney one so far. Then they came out with The Mandalorian. Let me tell you guys, I love that show. Like, got me so much back into Star Wars, even more than the movies. And the reason is this. One of the reasons I didn't like the prequel trilogies was it was all CGI, computer-generated imagery. Like, the special effects were so over the top and cheesy and computerized. I don't like that, okay? I mean, there's some movies, where it's pretty good, but there's others where it's just, like, so overdone that you can't stand it anymore. What I love about Star Wars as a kid, all those animatronics, people, like 7 people inside Jabba the Hutt to make it work, practical effects, models. Like, I love that. I love that look. The aesthetic is awesome, and that's what I like about the Mandalorian. Yeah, it's got some computer-generated stuff in there, but you can tell that there's a lot of sets, there's a lot of props, and I love it. And the story is really, really cool. I don't want to spoil it because I made a video the other day of How I Met Your Mother, and I really kind of went where I didn't want to go and spoil that, so I don't want to spoil the story of The Mandalorian. But if you look anywhere and you see Baby Yoda, that is where Baby Yoda came from. As my wife said, whoever dreamed up Baby Yoda is like a genius and a friggin' millionaire right now, So The Mandalorian just started second season on Disney Plus. Really, really good, guys. If you're at all a fan of Star Wars, if you've been away from it a couple of years and you want to get back into it, start there. That's set a few years after the Return of the Jedi and a few years before The Force Awakens, which was the first movie in the new trilogy. So now that Disney owns it, much like Marvel, they've got a lot of financial backing, so I'm sure Star Wars is going to be around for a long, long time. I know they had talked about a couple other origin movies. That one was Obi-Wan Kenobi, that was played by the great Alec Guinness back in the original trilogy, and then by Ewan McGregor in the newer ones. In the prequels. I thought he was great as a younger Obi-Wan Kenobi. I believe they're going to turn that into a show now, not a movie, so that's kind of cool. I'm sure they got plenty of stuff coming down the pike, but, Star Wars, what I loved about it, it was just about, you could interpret it in so many different ways, You could say it was a love letter to the old Westerns. You could say it was an anti-war film. You can interpret it as so many different things. But I like the underdog story, and then just so many iconic characters. Darth Vader. I mean, everybody worldwide knows Darth Vader. You know, like the ultimate badass in the universe. You know, the Emperor, played by Ian McDiarmid with that freaking laugh of his that is just so sinister, but yet so cool at the same time. You know, Han Solo, played by Harrison Ford. You know, Princess Leia, played by the late Carrie Fisher. You know, Mark Hamill, which I'm not a fan of Mark Hamill personally, but I mean, played, you know, Luke Skywalker. I mean, hero as a kid, you know. I mean, just so many iconic characters, you know, Chewbacca, C-3PO, R2-D2, you know, Lando Calrissian, just all these iconic, amazing characters that you just identify with, that you just, they become a part of you, you know. So, like I said, I've loved Star Wars ever since I was a kid. You know, I had many years in the middle there where I had enough of it. Now I'm back into it. You know, we watch The Mandalorian every episode. You know, right now they're in season 2. They're coming out weekly. Just great stuff, guys. You know, and I think that the thing with Lucas, I mean, again, he created it, but you know, if it was up to him, he would change the movie as you're watching it. I mean, it's like he went so overboard with all these changes. It was just like, leave it the hell alone. Like, just once, I would love for them to release the original theatrical versions of the movies. Like, it's probably never going to happen, but, you know, instead of him tinkering with it every 30 seconds, I just want to see the originals that I grew up as a child watching at the theater, you know? That's like my ultimate wish for Star Wars. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this trip down memory lane, and I will, you know, we'll keep talking about other topics. Hopefully you'll find something you like. If you have been enjoying my channel, make sure that you subscribe, you hit the like button. You know, if you've enjoyed the video, tell me something you liked about it, something you didn't like about it. If you want to talk about Star Wars, you know, let me know in the comments section. And I will see you in the next video. May the Force be with you.